Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's program. I'm Amelia from the Ellenville Public Library.
Hi, I'm Becca from the Ranger at Sam's Point. We're here to talk about blueberries, huckleberries, and their history. So first we're gonna have Alexa talk about the blueberry and how you can identify it, what difference between a blueberry and a huckleberry, and all that good stuff. So take it away, Alexa.
Hello, I'm Alexa. I'm the AmeriCorps member at Sam's Point. So blueberries, huckleberries. A lot of times people come here, they say, I want to pick the blueberries. Well, there's a few different varieties we actually have in the park. And from where I'm standing, I can reach 3 different types. So right here, we have high bush blueberry. High bush, you can see right here, we got a couple berries. We've got low bush right here. Low bush would only grow to be about 1 meter tall. And over here, we've got a couple huckleberries. So the biggest way to tell the difference of the type of blueberry or huckleberry you're looking at is the size of the plant, the color of the berry, and the time in the fruiting season that it's ripe. So one of the first berries to ripen are the low bush blueberries. So down here, the low bush tend to come out, ripen, be nice and blue by mid-August. If the high bush right now is beginning to have its peak fruiting time. So if you look on here, you'll see there's some green ones left, but we've got blue, and down here we've got plenty more blue. We were definitely just picking from here a few minutes prior to starting. And then when we look at the huckleberries, we see that they're almost all still green. Huckleberries are the last to ripen, typically in August. So if you come to Sam's Point, if you come a week from today, you're going to be picking mostly huckleberries. We do have one that's nice. There we go, one of the early birds. So this is a huckleberry. It looks pretty similar to a blueberry. We have black and blue huckleberries here. This one's a black one. It's a little early, still a little purpley, but it'll darken. They're super shiny. And one of the main differences between a blueberry and huckleberry is that the huckleberry doesn't have that crown that's typical of a blueberry. Right here, that little fuzzy point on top. So that's a big difference. Both delicious. The flavors are typically the same, but between the varieties of the high bush and low bush and huckleberry, some are a little bit more tart, some are a little bit more sweeter. Huckleberries, in them, their seeds are a bit bigger, so you'll notice it. You might get a little bit of the seeds in their teeth. While blueberries, the seeds are very inconspicuous. So that's a few differences between them. Blueberries were cultivated beginning in 1900s. I believe 1916 was the first year they were sold. So it took a number of years to figure out how to breed these berries, how to crossbreed to get the type that we can buy in the supermarkets today. Yet everything here is wild. Huckleberries are not domesticated. They are too difficult to start up to have like fields of them. So huckleberries you'll only find out in the wild. Blueberries and huckleberries do great with fire. In this whole forest here, we've got a bunch of pitch pine trees. These are all fire adapted species. So when a fire is set, these guys come back nice and vibrant. The biggest harvest typically is a year or two after a fire disturbance. We had a fire in 2016 on the Verketer Call Falls Trail. So if you guys come here, you might see that there's plenty of berries this year there. So those are some of the fun facts about berries. A lot of the wildlife in this park eats them. Black bears and robins are some of the largest distributors of berries, meaning that when they chew them and poop them out after they've walked or flown so many miles, that's how those seeds and that plant is able to spread and start as a new plant. We've also got chipmunks, coyotes, a lot of animals really love these berries just like we do.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we're going to swing around and talk about
The history of the berry pickers up here at Sam's Point. So as everyone knows, we have the huckleberry picker shacks, and there's a whole big history of it going back to the Lenape picking them. But before we go about the history, we're going to clarify what a huckleberry picker is and why, if a huckleberry picker picks blueberries. Huckleberry is a colloquial term. I butchered that word a little bit. That's okay. So it's a term used by locals saying it's a wild blueberry. So it's either a blueberry, it's a proper huckleberry, it's a high bush, low bush, whatever. It's just a wild blueberry. So that's what I'm talking about when I refer to huckleberry pickers. They're not just picking that black huckleberry that Alexa showed you just now. So starting at the very beginning, the Lenape, they were up here. They were picking blueberries. They've been picking blueberries here, and there's evidence that they've been burning the ridge for 9,000 years. So they were here picking berries. The settlers came in the early 1700s. What happened?
There's just a bee.
Okay. It's gone.
Okay.
Sorry for that technical
Oh.
difficulty. Bee is gone. So the Native Americans started to show the settlers how or what they were picking, and about the fire ecology and how the fire kind of makes the berries a better bunch. So we have the first like waves of the huckleberry and blueberry picker, or the huckleberry pickers, were the Dutch and the French, I believe. Yep, because we have the Dutch coming here in New York, settling first is New Amsterdam. We have the French coming and settling New Paltz with the Huguenots. So they were coming up onto the mountain, picking, and as time went on, they knew to burn the ridge, and so they would burn it periodically. They would come up here during the summer. A lot of people, as time went on, were New York City settlers, and they'd come up here to get that fresh mountain air and to breathe it in and to make a good amount of money during the summertime. It's about a little less than 2 months, and you're making a whole bunch of money. Your whole family's going up there. You're just camping out and hanging out and picking berries all day. It really blew up when the trains came through Ellenville. The train came, and I believe it was 1901 when the trains were coming. So then the huckleberry pickers could go and sell their berries, and the berries would be distributed back to New York City, out to Buffalo, out to Boston, and they'd just be distributed. Everybody could have fresh berries. It was pretty remarkable. So the train played a big role in that. There were a couple different settlements and encampments of huckleberry pickers. So the Sam's Point encampment was more of the families, the local families, and some of the New York City families coming up from grandma to your 1-year-old. Everybody's out there picking berries. Everybody had a job. Everybody was settling, hanging out here. There was another camp, and that was out on Smiley Road. As you know, Smiley Road runs from Burn Road Park all the way up to Lake Owasting, and then right in the middle heart of the park. Those are known as the party settlements. There was a lot of drunken activities there, but they're still up here for the summer just to make some money. The most popular one was 5 Mile Post, which I believe is somewhere between Witch's Hole and Lake Owasting. I believe it's near Napanoch Point too. So the huckleberry pickers continued. Their one rule is they had to take all of their stuff out with them because it was a camp when the time came. A lot of them also didn't just go back to the city to continue their regular job, either as a merchant, a ship worker, a hotel worker. There was actually other people that went from Florida, started picking the strawberries down in Florida, and just would follow the seasonal berries as they went up to Maine, because blueberries are getting ripe in August in Maine, not July like they are here. So this kind of started to peter out as time went on. The biggest boom was around the World War II, because it was a good job. It was, you had your own food here, and you didn't need to live in the city, and it was a rough time during World War II. So that was when berries would get the most profit. It started to peter out around the 1960s, and that's when Ice Caves Mountain really came in here and had Sam's Point be a tourist attraction with the ice caves and Sam's Point and the lake. I mean, they did try to make it a tourist attraction in the beginning. The first hotel at Sam's Point was up in 1871, and that it burned down in a year. The next hotel was at the lake in 1901 when the railroad came in. It only lasted a couple years. Again, they've been lighting this fire, the lighting the ridge on fire for a long time. I was wrong about my date earlier. It's not 9,000 years. They started at 400 AD. So we're talking over 2,000 years. 9,000 was a long time. I got a little confused. Sorry about that. So I do have some pictures of the things I've been talking about. First, we'll start with the commercialization of Sam's Point. I have the hotel up at Lake Maritanza. So we have that hotel there. There's the lake. And the Lake Maritanza, it was expanded between 1901 and the 1960s to become the reservoir for Allenville. And we know it hasn't been a reservoir since the early 2010s hurricanes like Irene and Rita. So Maritanza plays a big role here. So we have the hotel, and then I have some huckleberry camps and pickers here. So we have two men here with their bedrolls. They got a basket, a little tar paper shack, because a lot of them were just tar paper shacks. We have two women here with their baskets, their little camp set up, and their little camp shack behind them. And then I have a berry shack. So this top picture was taken in, I believe, the 1930s. It was the Mance family shack, and this one you can still see when you come to Sam's Point today, because it looks like this now. So this was a fall picture taken. You can see the huckleberries, they turn that beautiful red as they do in the fall. So they're there. So that's what the shack looks like now. It's still here. We have about 5 to 7 encampments that you can just see from the road. And then I have this other historical picture. These are a little blurry because, again, we didn't have iPhones back then. So these are blueberry crates of blueberries.
Fun fact, we do have some of these that are going to be on display at our museum. So when the museum is open, I would check our website or give us a call before you stop by. We should be having some of the blueberry boxes available for viewing.
Oh, I'm gonna definitely come check that out. And then we have a gentleman here with the berry boxes right behind him. He is pouring a bucket of blueberries into a blueberry box. The box is not shown in the photo, but that is from context what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have any more photos? Nope, I have no more photos, but I do have some things to show you. So we're gonna start with my favorite. This is the backpack. And we have one of these on display. So this is a berry box, but it's a backpack box. We have one of these on display in the visitor center. It was donated by a local from Pine Bush. It was Jim Weed's berry box, and his name's painted on it. He's got a whole bunch of stuff painted on it. It's really awesome. It's estimated, I think I did the math, it was 1929, 1930s. So this one doesn't have all the bells and whistles because it is a reproduction. But we have the straps here, and those were notoriously made of bedding, usually just a couple extra scraps. It is nailed together. This one's pine. Pine is less resistant to rot. And then they usually have little mesh holes in the sides so you can see the level of berries in there. But we do have this little hinge. I'm going to use my frying pan. No, it might be too big. Okay. So this is how you fill it and empty it.
Would a key work?
Yeah, I have keys. Okay, well, you can just zoom in on the top.
Okay.
It is just a little hinge there. You fill them up. People would get their berries stolen.
Oh my goodness.
So you would want it to be harder to break into. So that is one drawback of the boxes, because you'd go and you'd use a berry rake like this one. This is another replica one. So you'd go and rake the berries into your box. Try not to spear them. We use that to rake the berries into your box, and then you can dump them in here. Or you just pick them and put them in a bucket. And I have a couple other things from the berry encampments. that we've just found over the years. We have a little frying pan, probably for eggs and flapjacks. I hope they're making blueberry flapjacks in that pan. I have a leather shoe. I have a piece of charred wood from a house, a little camp house. We have that. It's definitely like a cut plank too. I have a door handle from that. Shoehorn. And this one is pretty cool. It is most likely a root beer, or actually it says root beer on it. It is a root beer bottle. It was made in Chicago, Illinois. It says it on there. Mason's Old Fashioned Root Beer, bottled under the authority of Mason and Mason Inc., Chicago, Illinois. So it's from Chicago. So we know they're at least drinking some nice root beer up here. And I just have a couple other little like trinkets. We got a piece of glass from the pickers. So yeah, do we have anyone with any questions?
Yep, feel free to unmute yourselves and go ahead and ask. Any questions about either the berries themselves and Sam's Point or the blueberry pickers?
No questions? Okay, well, thank you guys for tuning in today. Oh,
I might have a question.
yeah.
Are there any best practices people should use if they come out here to pick berries?
Yes. The best practice is to stay on trail. That is our biggest thing. There are other things that live here in the park, other things that eat berries too. So you're safest if you stay on a trail. We request that you stay on a trail. The high bush blueberries are literally all around the lake. Like when you walk alongside the lake, they are there. So you can always go and pick those. Verketer Kill Falls is loaded with them too. If you go out to Verketer Kill Falls, make sure actually anywhere here, remember we're surrounded by dwarf pine, pitch pine trees. So none of them are very tall. There is no shade. It gets a little difficult. So you have to bring a lot of water to drink, but yeah, just make sure you bring a lot of water and a container to pick your berries in.
Okay, we do have a question.
Oh, nice.
Do they still use Lake Maratanza for the Ellenville Reservoir?
It is considered the backup reservoir at this point, and that is the reason there's no swimming in our lake. My understanding is the pipe was damaged in one of the hurricanes, so they can't use it. I don't know what they use now for the reservoir, but it was damaged and it was going to cost way too much to repair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Feel free to either type them in the chat or unmute yourself and speak up if you have any. While we wait to see if anybody is going to join in and ask some questions, I'm going to go ahead and say that if you enjoyed today's program, look for our next one, which will be about fire ecology and forest fire prevention.
These bad guys here, good guys, we love them. Yes, and that is in August. I am not remembering the date, but that's okay.
Okay. Sylvia says, thank you for a great program.
You're welcome, Sylvia. It was so great to meet you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming to that, Sylvia. And also, on Monday, the library is going to be running a TikTok with Ulster County Department of Health. So if you have questions about how to spot, prevent, or handle if you have been bitten by a tick, show up to our TikTok and we will be discussing all of those things and answering questions about what to do if you have found a tick on yourself and how to identify what kind of tick it is.
Very important. I'm going to try to tune into that one too. It's very important. Ticks are a big problem.
Yeah, especially if you've been out berry picking, you may want to go ahead and watch our TikTok before you come out. It also has prevention strategies. So if there are no other questions, we're going to go ahead and end today. Thank you all again for joining us. This was an amazing program as usual. Thank you to our wonderful presenters.
I got one more disclaimer. We've got Berry Bonanza, August 7th and 8th. Here at Sam's Point, you can go on a guided walk with Becca or I or another staff member. You'll see the actual berry picker shacks. They're very cool. Pick some berries, make a little berry basket craft. We've got a couple things in plan. So come on by.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to end it here. Thank
Bye,
you
guys.
again.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye, everyone. See you next time. And